Hello and welcome to another episode of the Electric Region. I'm Mats. Today, thanks to Sulan Bil in Sarpsborg, we are in a Ford Explorer. No, we're not. We're in a Ford Explorer. It's not a big, huge American hybrid. I think they've been selling it as a hybrid in Norway for a while. It's a massive car. This is the European thing. It's actually exactly like the car standing on my left here. It's an ID4 in Ford dress, but is it a better ID4? Yeah, maybe in some ways it is. It's basically the VW Ford platform sharing, and you say, oh, it's the same thing. Not entirely. The platform is the same, the chassis, the suspension tuning, the seats, the infotainment system, not the instrumentation and not the gear shifter, but the steering wheel is sort of Ford, interior is a bit Ford, and the design. Personally, I think this has more personality than the ID cars does from VW. This looks like a Ford, and it looks actually rather okay. Of course, it has also some of the idiosyncrasies of the MAB platform cars in general. Like now, let's just drive while we're talking about this. Now, this lifting bum off seat, shutting down car thing, I can sort of think I know how they got to this. That they were thinking, oh, this is going to be an electric car. We're going to try and be smart. Look at Tesla. They have this thing that when you leave the car locks itself all by itself and everything. We're gonna be smarter than that. We're gonna shut it all down as quick as you when you lift your bum off the seat. It's gonna be really clever. It's gonna be smart. Oh yeah, and we're gonna throw the whole starter button out of the way because you can activate the car with the brake pedal, which is how it should be. That's good. That's very well thought out, VW. Because that's basically an MAB platform thing, not a Ford Explorer thing. But there's a ton of use cases where you don't want the car to shut down as quick as you lift your bum off the seat. Maybe you're just lifting things into the car. Maybe you're helping someone. Maybe you're doing, there's a dozen things and situations you just want to leave the car on. I'm not saying leaving the car running, because it's not an internal combustion engine. There's nothing here that is running. But if you want to leave the car on, you want to keep the climate on, you want to keep whatever. And that's one of these things that's, yes, you get used to it, I'm sure, and it's fine. But it's kind of an idiosyncrasy of the platform, which is still here, I'm afraid. And I haven't figured out a way to turn off the overspeed warning. Sure, that's a quick shortcut. Green here is bigger than what VW use, and it's their own, partly at least, their own system, which is good. It's better than what you get from VW. It's not quite the same. I think it's a Sync 4 system they run now in the Lightning and in the Mach-E and stuff. It's not quite the same thing, which is sad because I really do enjoy those systems from Ford. But it is, what little I've been fiddling about with it, it's quite nice. Show you your consumption numbers, and it's pretty easy to find your way around. Like I said about the design, I like the design of the car. I really do. It's distinct and it's nice. It's not a wow design, but it's nice. I also saw they had a Capri in the store, on the showroom, and it looks taller than on the pictures. In the pictures and the videos, it looks a little bit more like a. In reality, it's more like, well, sort of a slightly lifted saloon, more like a Polestar 2, to be perfectly honest. The Capri is longer than this by, I don't know, some centimeters. The seller did tell me. I don't remember right now. So it has a relatively big boot, but this is more squared off, so it should be easier easier to load and stuff. They also suffer from the same problem that the VW cars do. Their rigid braking, even on the brake setting, which is you have drive and then you have brake, isn't particularly hard. It's not the one pedal driving, to put it like this. It's hardly impressive, but this is there. I also have the same mushy brake pedal that I complained on recently in the ID7 video. It's you pressing on, I don't know exactly, a mushroom or something. It's completely feels dangerous, like nothing is happening. Brakes are some of the most important parts of the car, and I like to have some firm feedback when I use it. Doesn't mean the pedal has to be hard as a rock. It just has to mean I have to get some feedback when I actually push it. Either way, we're at 70%. The car indicates 325 kilometers. Not very much, is it? Now, this is an all-wheel drive version. I'm not entirely certain of which. I think it's a premium, the top-notch one with all the bells and whistles in it. It has a Bang & Olufsen sound system and stuff, and it sounds pretty decent, actually, which is good. Like I said, the outside design is not bad at all. I like it. The inside is more of a mixed bag, really. I'm not gonna say it's ugly, because it isn't, and it's sort of well planned, but some of the materials, like the carbon fiber bits down here and also on the dashboard, feels, well, you can listen, atrociously cheap. So does some of the plastics further up on the dashboard, but of course you're not going to touch them very often, so it doesn't really matter. Then of course you have the inside of the door handles, which is, yes, that kind of cheap plastic. The outside of the door card are soft touch materials, which is very, very good. So they've done a good job on that front. It's just this mix of materials is somewhat, well, considering this top range model with four-wheel drive and what was it, 570 newton meters, quite a lot of newton meters, 340 horses. I think it's sort of the same drivetrain that the GTX actually had. Cost about 600,000 Norwegian kroner. The rear-wheel drive, standard rear-wheel drive version begins at around 400,000, which translated to European prices, as a European, this will of course vary with your market and so on, somewhere between 42 to 55,000 euros, give or take where you live and which day of the week it is, because people complain about Tesla going up and down in price. Well, try going to a car dealer and ask what the car costs, and they will tell you, oh, but you have, come, if you come this week, we have a sale, and then you can get a free vase and a flower, and you get a discount on the car, and you get, so that's what it's reported to cost, at least in the paperwork. And then I'm sure you can haggle a bit on it. Range varies from, what was it, 450, 500 kilometers to around 600 kilometers, thereabout. I read up on it before I left, before I left home, but it's a lot of numbers, and it's quiet, it's relatively comfy. Chassis suspension, like I think it's been a few years now. I think when I drove the ID4, I said this car was really supple, and the suspension, it rode on relatively big wheels, but it didn't feel crashy or anything. It felt very, very, very comfortable. This is a little bit stiffer, quite a bit actually. Haven't found a sport button in it yet. I'm sure I will when I go looking. sitting position is good. You have electric seats here with adjustable everything, like you do in most cars. I think the seats are Ford's own, so you don't get those. They're not as good as the brilliant seats you get in the VW, because the seats in the VW are fabulastic. They really, really, really are. And there's no extendable thigh support here either. The seat cushions are relatively long, so it's okay. You have wonderful strips of interior lighting here, ambient lighting, and the space here, it's okay. You have one wireless charger for some daft reason, even though it looks like you have two. So no, I don't know why either. A couple of there's no stupid lids here, so you don't have to push them out of the way. It's just in the open, so you have your cup holders, you have your armrest. The space under the armrest are gargantuan. It's really deep and nice, and you can throw all kinds of stuff in there. And it's a divider, so you can sort of have little things you use most on top, so you don't have to dig through everything. And behind this big screen, there's a room. And you can put the screen sort of wherever you want it, which is nice. You can put it depending on if you want the lower part closer to your hand or not. It's really, I like the idea. And if you put it in the lower position and you lock the car, you lock off that room. So I'm sure you can break it up, but you sort of have to really do some work to get into it. For instance, you're out on the beach and you can have your phones in there or whatever things, and they wouldn't be visible in the car. It's kind of nice. It's an extra lockable room. Since we left home, I had a consumption of 284 watt-hours per kilometer. That's a lot. We've just been poodling about. Oh well, it settles down over time. The rear seats are basic in the sense that you have some ventilation, you have cup holders in the armrest, and that's about it. Really, have a few charge plugs as well. I think I saw back there. But I'm 1.89 meters, and I fit perfectly well. Fit perfectly well behind myself, but with this seat, the driver's seat in the lower position, can't get my feet under. But I have plenty of space for my head and my torso, which is nice. You don't have that in all cars. Here you do. Actually sit quite comfortable with your upper body. I tried the passengers side as well, and because they're the passenger seat is a little bit longer forward, I can still sit there and sit comfortably, and then I can sit very, very well. Plenty of space for the legs and very, very nice space in the back seat. Is it as spacious as a Model Y? I keep pulling up Teslas, but let's face it, it is one of the most sold cars in the world, and it is a competitor to this, so it is sort of no, because the space in the Model Y is just fabulous. And then of course you have some of these slider buttons and touch surfaces there. I did say in the ID7 that it wasn't really a big problem, and it wasn't. They felt good, they felt buttony in a way. That's not a word, but it is now. It's sort of back to how it once was in the beginning of the MAB platform days, from the early ID3 times. They're crap. They're atrociously bad to use. I constantly do things I don't want to do, like turning. They have the button here for the heat steering wheel on the steering wheel. I love that. Brilliant. Yes, please. But sometimes when I'm skipping my songs or whatever, I accidentally touch that button and it turns the heated steering wheel on or off, or it's 3 stages, so yeah, it's just frustrating. And also the lower edge, lower column of buttons here, which is the climate control buttons, which are fixed. That's good. But down in the corner you have the heated seat and stuff. And okay, they're haptic and they make a clicking noise, and they're good in that sense. But I sort of feel like maybe I'm counting wrong. 1, 2, 3. Maybe I don't know what it is. But the feel of the stalks here, for the indicators and also for the gear, they're solid, they're good. They have a bit of resistance to them, so you don't accidentally indicate one direction or the other, like you do in some cases, in some cars, which you accidentally brush the stalk and then you indicate somewhere. Consumption numbers are stop and start, so I haven't really had anything very long, but 220, 230 watt hours. Because it is getting cold now, it's 2 degrees outside. But it's not a sporty car, this. You can drive it, I mean, you can toss it into a corner and you can give it, at least this four-wheel drive version, with quite a lot of power. It's fast. But it's not very inspiring to drive quickly. Oh, that was a hot rod. That was cool. It's not very inspiring to drive fast. Not at all. You can you sit pretty tall in it, and I'm not certain of the ground clearance of it. It's not that much, I think, just based on feel. But you get the impression that you sit higher up than you do, and it's kind of a squared off bonnet, and no, it's a nice sitting position. I like that. I also like the VW instruments mostly. That's where all the Newton meters went. I felt they were a little bit missing earlier today, because there's quite a lot of Newton meters in this one. Now you can see where they are when you get up into speed, because it's doesn't lack for power. Big mirrors, bad for consumption, good for looking at where you've been, as it were. I think the whole I still haven't found the button to turn the overspeed warning off, which is quite frankly annoying, because it's a new car and everybody else sort of fixed it. If Ford has such a button, they've made it very difficult. Well, apart from that, I think I told the car to navigate to Berlin. It did, but it didn't put up any chargers on the way. I don't really know if I was impressed by the navigation in that sense. Of course, it has plenty of. It's easy to find chargers on your way, mind you. So that's not really. It should be quite easy. The head-up display. I don't know if you can choose colors on this one or not. Don't think so. Don't like the blue color of it. It's kind of difficult to see, but I do like that it's there, and it's nice. Also, the adaptive cruise adjusts speed up and down. Kind of adjusts down to 60 kilometers an hour, for instance. So you are driving at 60 when you hit that new zone, and then it accelerates up after you've left it. It's sort of nice. It just we've got consumption down to 212. Actually, that's not true, is it? Since the car was charged at some point earlier today, it has had a consumption of 20.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer, or 207 watt hours per kilometer if you want. It's had an average speed of 47 kilometers an hour, and it's done 137 kilometers since charge. Now, I have 45% indicated, 192 kilometers. So if we assume this was charged to 100%, I don't know, it was at 79 or something when I picked it up, I think. I have to do math as well, 130. What's that? That's 200, 300, yeah, around 320. Sounds a little bit low, doesn't it? 70 whatever kilowatt hours, 230, 35. At 200 watt hours, it should at least give you a range of around 350 kilometers. It's cold though. It's well, inside the tunnel at 5 degrees actually, so it's quite a bit of noise in here, I have to say. I don't know how much the mic will pick up. Quite a lot of noise from the roof actually. Summing up the Ford Explorer then. It's not the most efficient, but it's far from the worst. It's actually pretty decent. And I think on a day like today, I don't know if the car was fully charged or not when I go into the since charged toggle on the car. It would have done 300 kilometers. I don't know if it was if it was charged to 70% or 100 or whatever, but somewhere maybe between 300 and 400. We had at least it would easily do 300 on a day like today with a mixed driving that we had, and also some acceleration and stuff. The seating position, it's nice. I still think the seats, the VW seats, are better. They're more supportive and they're just nice to sit in. But these are good, by all means. A little bit plain and flat, but that's you know, that's not a unique thing. Instrument cluster, it's a VW MAB platform instrument cluster. It's there, it's fine, it works. You also have the head-up display. I must admit I like head-up displays more and more, and I do really, really wish we could just make it an industry standard. Really, that'd be brilliant. Screen, big screen, horizontal. No, not horizontal, is it? The other thing, vertical. Works very well. Relatively easy to get around in. Not quite as easy. Not the best Ford has made, but definitely better than many others out there. So, yes. Also, you have wireless CarPlay, which is once again should have been an industry standard at least. But I said it before, and I will say it again. CarPlay is in itself not a goal in a car. CarPlay is there to mask an otherwise bad infotainment system and an otherwise bad user experience. This user experience is actually rather okay, and you have some quick menus and you have some nice access to things. Also, you can with one tap. Then you can preheat the battery with a big button, which is nice. I like that. You have a physical, well, not a physical, it's a digital button, but you have a button to preheat if you want to manually do, like I did now before I came to this supercharger at Rygge. Space in the back seats, it's good. It's good enough. Definitely not bad. There is more spacious cars out there, but it's not bad. Headlights are decent. Definitely not the worst, and not the best, but decent. Yes, and they have LED matrix technology. It works fine. Had a few blinks at me, but most of that was trailers, and they're in a kind of different situation. Big boot, squared off, easy to use. Used the entire width of the car. Very well use of space. There is no frunk here, of course. Once again, MAB platform, sadly. Price-wise, this in Norway, and I also think on the continent it's priced between everything else in this class. And so it goes head-to-head with the Aria, with the B4 ZX, with the Model Y, of course. Also, funnily enough, its own Mach-E, Ford's own car. But yeah, in some ways the Mach-E is a better choice. It's a little bit bigger. I think it's bigger, and it's more spacious. It has a frunk, and it has a slightly better infotainment system. You have the big scroll wheel for the volume, and you don't have all the touch surfaces and all that stuff. So in that sense, it's a better car. The Model Y is the Model Y, and now with the Juniper update coming, well, yeah, it will become an even better car than it is today. It is already winning on space, and it will become even better in refinement and stuff, and tech and charging. Not charging, but everything else. Charging speed on this seems nice with 50% now. It's charging pretty flat. It's a crossover. It's a medium-sized crossover. It looks pretty cool. It looks distinct. Something not all cars do anymore. So I think it has that's a big plus. And yeah, all in all, I like it. Definitely, if you're a Ford guy, or you just want a car that has a bit of its own identity, then try out the Ford Explorer, or try out its sibling, the Ford Capri. Yes, I know all about that. It's not a Capri and blah blah blah, but it is what it is. Yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks to Sulan Bil for lending me the car. And it's winter, it's dark, I know, I'm sorry, I try. Once again, if you like the video, share it, and leave a comment, and leave a like, and I'll see you in another video in another car. Take care. Goodbye.